What is up, investors? Welcome back to In the Green with Charlie. Today, Lance Flowers explains how Investor helped him develop his investing skills.
I'm at the bank making money, making moves. Machines with tools and drills, making grooves. Missions impossible. That's lots of.
Hey, Lance, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm great. So, could you start off by just introducing yourself to the investor community?
My name's Lance Flowers. I'm from Ocean Springs, Mississippi, uh, and I think I've been on with Investor for about 6 months.
Awesome. So, what was your first ever experience interacting with the stock market?
I'd say my first experience was in school. It was either eighth grade or ninth grade. We had a teacher that he introduced us to the stock market by playing basically the same thing as this. We played a stock market game. He gave us so much in play money, and he taught us a little bit about buying and selling and some of the terms. And this was, I mean, I'm 52, so this was back in the day. We used an abacus, and I'm just kidding. uh, um, but I remember it was, I guess it kind of piqued my interest. I've never really gotten into the stock market, but that was probably my first experience with it. I don't remember how I did, but I remember it was interesting.
And then from that point until you kind of found Investor, how involved were you in investing in the stock market?
Zero. The
Zero.
stock market's always been something that I see. You hear about it every day, you hear the terms, but I've never invested in it. I have a degree in business, so I mean, of course, I knew what it was and I knew roughly how it worked. I mean, but like the fine points of it, I've never really been able to invest in it.
Gotcha. So then how did you come across Investor?
Well, part of what kind of spurred my interest too was I knew somebody that had invested in this company about 10, 15 years ago. And as I tell it, everybody will probably know right away who I'm talking about. And everybody was kind of telling him, don't buy that, or I was questioning it, you know what I mean? And he had money anyway, but he had bought several thousand shares of the stock. I don't know how much, but to me, it was a big amount. And that was Google. So, I mean, you look at it, back when Google became public, I think it was what, $85 a share or something like that. And now it's, whatever it is today. I hadn't even looked at it, and I remember he made a ton of money on that, or at least what I thought was a ton of money. And it kind of kept it going. Um, and I watch it and I hear it, and I've kind of looked at it a few times, but I've never really gotten involved in or tried to learn it, and then until I found Investor.
And so what was like your first month like on the app on Investor, just because you hadn't had a ton of experience in the market? What was that first month like?
It was interesting. I was kind of picking stocks that I had heard about, and I clicked on different people's, profiles, excuse me, and looked at what they were doing. And then from there, as it went along, I started seeing that the companies that I picked were actually not doing horrible. You know what I mean? I was, I knew I saw how it was working, how the app worked, and they were doing pretty good. And slowly and then I saw the other, like the links for the academy and learning how to do this and what this meant. That's what I liked about Investor, was because it's not just an app it's a game where you just start with so much and you buy and sell and you play, and that's it. It's the academy where it actually teaches you what you're doing and what terms mean, and that was really cool to me.
What's like a trade you're particularly proud of that you made on Investor?
I was going back to what I had just said about, was thinking about COVID-19 and how it's affecting everybody, with people being either, quarantining themselves or being forced to quarantine. Everyone's at home. Um, so what are you doing at home? I mean, eating, packing on some pounds. So, people, while you're home, what industries are going to grow from that, or going to, you know, uh, benefit from all of that. And so I bought Roku, Netflix, because people are going to be watching TV. So now you're eating and sitting on the couch watching TV. And so the next thing that I thought of was, you're going to want to exercise. So I bought Peloton, and between the three of them, they really took off, and so I thought, I mean, I was kind of proud, because I was like, I know everybody else I was probably behind everybody else that already had that. And they're like, come on, keep up. But it showed me that I'm learning like a little bit more of the intricacies of it.
For sure. That's awesome. So then, like, on the flip side, what's like a trade or two that you've made where you're like, oh, I really made a mistake and I learned a lot from that?
Well, there's been a few. Some of them it looks like it's going good until I buy it. And I says, oh, no. And straight back down. I'm like, really? The one thing about Investor that it's kind of cool in terms of playing the game, but I wish it made me think about how many investors in real life wished God that they had a 99-cent undo button, so they bought a stock that's starting to crash, undo.
Yeah, definitely. So have you invested any money in like the actual stock market, or have you just paper traded on Investor so far?
A little bit. There's a few that it's small time. I bought a few just to see how it did with my own money, because things have been rough for me lately. So I don't have a lot of money to throw at it, but I wanted to put some of my money in there and just see how. And I went with some of the stocks that I have on Investor, and a couple of them have done okay. A couple of them have, but my favorite saying, I tell people, I started off with nothing and I still have most of it left.
So what are you looking forward to learning more about over the next few months of your time on Investor? Like in what ways are you looking to grow over the next few months using Investor?
I want to learn more about how to look at a company in more detail, how to pick a company based on it's kind of like in my family, some relatives that they trained horses, thoroughbreds, like race horses. And my uncle taught me, he would take me to the horse track, and up in West Virginia where I lived, they have, in order to have a casino up there, you have to have a horse track. He taught me how to pick the horses, and it's really similar to actually picking stocks, so I want to learn more about, volumes and the different terms, and actually how to look at companies better in more detail. Because sometimes if I see something that looks like it's going up, or, sometimes I feel like I'm just winging it. When you ask me what my strategy was, I'm like, winging it? Is that a good strategy?
Definitely. So do you have any final thoughts? Like I always ask this to people. If there's someone who's just getting on Investor today for the first time with a similar background to you, what advice would you give them? What would
ask questions. The one thing about Investor, you can, click on, if you see, click on someone's profile, ask someone a question, because I've not done it a lot. I've not utilized it. So I'm guessing, practice what I preach. But there have been a few people that I've reached out to and spoke to, and they will help you. They will answer you, and just kind of educate yourself, learn. It's not hard information to come by. It's easy to learn. But just keep at it. I mean, just like anything else, you're gonna have good days and bad days. I kind of tease myself, because there's days when I'll lose money on this game, and it's not even real money. It's not even, but I guess that's my competitiveness side. It's like, it makes you feel you really get into it. But if you start to lose, don't give up on it. Just try again.
Definitely. Well, thank you for coming on the podcast today, Lance.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Money making moves, machines with tools and drills making grooves, missions impossible.
I am not a financial advisor, and my comment should never be taken as financial advice. Investments come with risk, so always do your research and analysis beforehand.
Loud, loud, loud.